You've heard of unconditional love, but have you heard of the secret to unconditional happiness and allowing more into your life? More wealth, more success, and more love. More freedom in your life right now. Welcome to the Happy Bar with Israel Savage. What we give to other people, we give to ourselves. And so the easiest way to train our thoughts about ourselves is to train our thoughts about it. My daughter is having some mild, test anxiety, just with timed things, those things where you read a paragraph and then you have to answer some questions. And so she's got all the pieces that she needs to answer these questions, all the skills, all the capability, all the intelligence, but she gets tripped up on the time, and it's producing some anxiety. And again, that anxiety, it means there's a dissonance between the way her greater self sees things. And her greater self sees, you've got this. Oh, you've got this. Piece of cake. That's what her greater self sees. And so the way to smooth that out for herself, when it happened today, whenever we're leaving for someone, she's the one at the door. We got to go. We got to go. We got to go. We're going to be late. We're going to be late. Oh my gosh. If I'm late, this is going to happen and this is going to happen. And so the way to smooth this out for her and what we're inviting her to do is to practice on other people. Because when I hear that voice, I think to myself, oh my gosh, I couldn't take a test if I had that voice in my head.
Yeah.
I couldn't take a test as an adult, as a reasonably capable adult. I couldn't function with that voice. So how challenging it must be for her to carry that voice.
Yeah.
And we all have voices that are self-talk, and it's also other talk, because other and self is the same. So the way to see our self-talk, the easiest is sometimes to look at how we think about others and treat others. And so soothing that out for ourselves is the greatest gift that we can give ourselves, and the quickest way around it is just to let it go and not focus on it.
So what are you telling your daughter in terms of that example, Israel?
Well, we're just easing into that. This is a new thing, but today I invited her to go down to the lobby and wait so that she could remove herself from the situation for the moment. And that is a legitimate thing to do. Sometimes our practice habits of thoughts are such and are so practiced that we have to remove ourselves in order and just go to bed, go take a nap, go have some tea. I'm that way. It happened to me just the other day. I'm on a board for something, and the board was using my personal and business email. And so all these emails were coming in, and I was getting them on my phone and everywhere, and I couldn't get away from it. And it wasn't like I could ignore the email because I saw it. And so I knew the stuff that was swirling, and it was too much for me at that moment, at that time, because my practice habits of thought about this board and about the people on the board and about myself on the board were such that it was just too much for me to separate. So I had to create a junk email account and send everything over there and tell the board members I only check email on Tuesday and Thursday. And I had to create that for myself for now. Now, there may be a time once I've eased myself in and smoothed out these thoughts for myself that maybe I can handle a little more, and handle it a little differently. The same with CNN. I've gone cold turkey on CNN because my practice habits of thought are about the stuff I see on there are not good feeling. But there might come a point in time when I'm in my best feeling place that I could do a couple minutes of CNN and handle it and be fine and go off and for a while and then come back, but not now. And so sometimes you just have to leave it. And so she's in this state right now where it's so practiced that it's best for her to just become aware of it and practice stepping out of it. And that's the initial process, the initial state.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense.
And eventually, if you're able, then placing your focus on the thing that you want rather than the unwanted thing and letting go of expectation is the quickest way through. And there was another day that my son just didn't want to get dressed, and I was late for a parent-teacher conference, and he really was pushing against coming out and getting dressed. And so finally, I had to resolve myself to the fact that I may not make it to this parent-teacher conference. I may not this, I may not that, and so I just closed my door and said, knock on my door when you're ready. And I let him know that, I hope you change your mind because there are consequences that come to our choices, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So fast forward, he finally did decide to go, but we had to take a cab, and he's paying for it as his consequence. But I had to let go. I just had to let go, because feeling good is the most important thing to me. And getting there, dragging him out of and believe me, I fantasized about something. Dragging him out of the house, throwing his shoes out, anything, lots of things that would have gotten me in lots of trouble with all kinds of agencies and social services places. I fantasized about all of it. But is it really worth it? Is it really worth the emotional cost for him, for me? There's an easier way, an easier, better feeling way to get there. And we got there. And so it's smoothing out your path in that way.
Yeah. It's kind of like dialing down that emotion to recalibrate it.
I love that. There's two things that are always happening. You're tuning out and you're tuning in. And I think of it visually, the image that comes to mind are two dials, exactly what you described. And so I'm tuning in, like on a radio dial, to that station that I want. And I'm tuning out of the things that I don't want. And sometimes you need a little more tuning out, and sometimes a little more tuning in. So when that board thing happened, there was a day where I felt like my hair was on fire. I had that kind of urgency to get these emails, these things out of my life with the same urgency as a crisis, because I knew, oh my gosh, this is too much. And so that's tuning out. I need to tune out first before I could even hear myself to start to tune in. And I did. I tuned out. And then I think I shared this. And then once I turned down the volume on all the resistance and the things that I had practiced thoughts about that were unpleasant, I could tune in and hear a little better. Okay, what would feel better right now? Staying at home or going with my family to see Peter Rabbit? And if you had asked me while I still had the volume up of what I didn't want,
yeah, sure,
I would say I stay in here. But once I could hear a little clearer, there was just a soft desire. Okay, go see Peter Rabbit. I was just with it. So I went, and turns out that was an important part of my tuning in. I think I shared it. There were reclining seats as we watched Peter Rabbit. I took a nap. Wonderful. There were treats that I was eating in between naps. And then there were like 4 to 6 year olds, just the cackle and laughter of little kids the entire time. And for me, that was just that raised my vibration in such a way. And that was the turning point, the tuning out and then the tuning in. And it was a very soft desire, a very soft difference between staying and going to this thing. And who would have, if I were planning my life, I wouldn't say, go see Peter Rabbit. Yeah. That will be the thing that vibrationally shifts you. But my greater self sees that. Like, of the options you have open to you right now that you can see that you will allow, this is the better feeling one. If you liked what you just heard, then take inspired action now. That's right, act while you are feeling good. And build on your momentum. Schedule your free discovery call with me at INstudios-nyc.com/happy bar.